Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. No doubt, the cruise line industry has been hit incredibly hard due to COVID-19. Now, some are even wondering whether or not the industry can weather through this storm and survive. Well, I'm here to tell you today that yes, they can. We're going to take a deep dive and discuss why exactly that is. We will be discussing some of the new cruise industry changes that will be happening, and some of those are confirmed by cruise lines themselves, and some are my own personal predictions that we may see as well. So if you want to hear more about how cruise lines have confirmed some of these changes and some of my predictions as well, stick around to the video and we'll get right to it. By the way, I'm Alanna Zingano from Travel the World from A to Z. I post new videos all the time, so go ahead and hit that red subscribe button if you enjoy cruise content, and give this video a big thumbs up. Let's get started into how all of the cruise industry and cruise lines are going to make some definite changes. So you may have heard that the CDC put in a no sail order, a restriction on all cruise line sailings. Now, this goes into effect until about the mid of the summer, but when cruise lines do open up again, it's for sure that cruising will look very different. With these restrictions, they're coming up with new protocols and regulations. Some of these changes include improvements to make it as safe as possible for not only the guests and the crew, from a variety of medical screenings and other protocols. But if you want additional information regarding this update, after you finish this video, go ahead and check out this other video that I did here, and I go into full depth into the guidelines and scenarios of the new CDC order. So here are the confirmed changes that we can expect to see, along with a few of my own personal predictions that could happen. And don't worry, I'll let you know which ones are my own personal predictions and which ones are confirmed by the cruise lines. Now, discussing all of the implementations of changes, we're going to start with prior to embarkation. So before you even step on your beautiful cruise ship, we're going to see some definite changes. If you wind up feeling sick, if you have any flu-like symptoms, or if you are just sick with any type of illness, the cruise lines are going to have more flexible cancellation policies, because let's face it, if you're sick, you're going to get others sick and they don't want you cruising. So we're going to see more flexible cancellation policies that you will be able to rebook your sailing. Next up is that we might actually see reducing of capacity of the ships as well. How, you may ask? There are a few different variations that this could happen. With inside staterooms, or limiting the quantity of guests in an inside stateroom, or alternating even cabin rooms where there would be a space in between each cabin, leaving a buffer between the rooms. So if an inside stateroom had a capacity of 4, they may drop the capacity down to only allowing 2 people in that cabin. Next up, we will see mandatory online check-ins. So prior to your cruise, you can opt in to checking in, printing your boarding passes and everything of the liking. And right now, currently as it has been, it wasn't mandatory, but going forward, I think this is something that will definitely be a mandatory process to help speed up everything in the cruise terminal. We may see this to help reduce guests needing to be checked in person at the cruise terminal. Now here's an interesting one. We may even see shorter cruise itineraries. This is a potential possibility and may even reducing the quantity of ports of call during your sailings. Prior to your cruise, they're going to have you fill out your online medical questionnaire. Sometimes we fill this out right in the cruise terminal, but I think they're going to urge us to fill it out ahead of time. They want to know whether or not you have been sick, or if you've traveled to any recent countries where the outbreak has been bad, or whether or not you know anyone who has been sick and then you've been in close contact with them. Cruise lines may come out with an announcement that they also have made changes to the air conditioning system. We'll have to wait and see on that though. Now we're ready to discuss what is going to happen on cruise day. Surely the most exciting part of your cruise when it's cruise day, but there are going to be some changes as well, such as we may see that sailaway times could be later. They want to give crew even more time to clean those ships, every nook and cranny, wiping it down. So you may be asked to arrive at the terminal only during your assigned arrival time slot. And upon checking in at the terminal, guests will have a mandatory temperature check or thermal scanning. Some cruise lines have actually confirmed that this is going to happen. They'll go ahead and verify all of your medical questions to see if any of your answers have changed or if anything has popped up since then, along with something similar what they've done in Dubai with on-site testing. Emirates Airways is actually the first airline to have developed on-site testing for COVID-19, which rapidly develops results in 10 minutes. So we could see something very similar to this. One change that I think is going to go over very well with a lot of passengers is a virtual muster drill. This is actually coming to fruition with Royal Caribbean as they recently just filed a patent for this idea. So I'm excited to see this one be rolled out. Sanitation will have been heavily increased from the cruise lines wiping everything down and thoroughly cleaning all the ships, along with additional hand sanitizer to be distributed even more throughout the ships. Hand sanitizing and wiping everything down is one of those changes that is going to be seen prior to your cruise, during your sailing, and even afterwards. This falls into a category of every single area. It's important that passengers do their part in the hand washing as well. So we'll likely see additional hand washing stations and sanitizers just all over the vessel. I predict we'll even see additional distribution of handy wipes. Just like before we walk into the main dining room for dinner, if there aren't any hand washing stations there, they may be handing us a wipe to wash our hands. I believe we'll see more automation as well. This can be incorporated into all aspects of your vacation. When you're checking into the terminals, instead of having the human interaction with someone helping you to check in, if you don't already do it online, you could be using a kiosk. So promoting the online mobile check-in. The machine would allow you to print your boarding pass and would be wiped down by an employee working in the terminal in between each customer. So you could print your boarding pass and even print a bag tag so a porter wouldn't have to come and tag your bag. Less personal interaction. And you would put the bag tag on yourself. So pretty much just like if you were checking in an airport and using a kiosk to check in for your flight. Very similar to that. And if for some reason, if you didn't fill out your health questionnaire, that machine would catch it and it would ask you to fill it out through the machine as well or on your mobile app. Automation could really continue as we could see more with robotic bars. When a robot makes you your martini, it takes your drink to a whole nother level. Now we'll move into during the sailing. So we've heard a lot about the fact of buffets are a hot topic. Some cruise lines have confirmed that buffets will no longer have utensils that guests can use, but rather a crew member will be scooping your food and plating it for you. And this will also go into effect for crew buffets as well. We may also see housekeeping minimalized. Services could be limited to allow for minimal guest and crew exposure. So your mini bars may not be restocked and they might be limiting the amount of time crews enter your cabin altogether. So removing all service items from the guest rooms like glassware, cups, your coffee mugs, if there's a coffee and tea maker in your room, etc. And on the topic of your cabin, room service would only be delivered to your door. So potentially they could be reducing the turn down services or cleaning only upon request throughout your entire cruise if you didn't want any of the housekeeping staff to come in at all, or you could just have it maybe every other day. Moving up to the pool deck, the lounge chairs and seating will definitely be spaced out and wiped down and cleaned regularly, limiting the capacity of chairs that would be on the deck and really limiting the amount of chair hogs as well. Now, casinos on land have tested adding plexiglass to separate the employees from the guests who are playing in the casino. We may see this as well on the cruise ships. And probably all of the chips will have to be sanitized very frequently as well. Next, let's consider the tickets and events for activities. Now, there'll probably be a continuation of some type of social distancing, limiting the amount in dining rooms and bars up to 75% of capacity, or even worse, 50% of capacity. We could see more of a wave of my time dining, or even a third dining time implemented instead of just 2 dining times to encourage less people dining in one area all at one time. We could see adding hand sanitizers to the table be the norm and being part of the centerpiece in the table. Now, this is a prediction, but we could easily see the limited capacity in seating in theater type venues as well for your entertainment shows. There may be a cap off on the amount of people that are allowed into a space to ensure that everyone is able to keep a safe distance. And if you have been to any production show on a cruise, you know that sometimes you want to get there really early to ensure that you get a seat because the theaters get packed. So ticketing could change this to where you have to sign up prior to the show, and they even space out the seating on the chairs for every third chair or so. And even after each production show, they would be sanitizing and wiping down those armrests in between. All right, time for another prediction. We could even see random thermal scanning or temperature checks throughout the cruise. I imagine this could be done throughout the sailing, more likely after you get back on the ship from a day in port. Now, how do you feel about this? This could be rolled out to the crew as well, right before they are to report to duty for a shift. I have a feeling this one may be controversial. Let me know in the comments below. The cost of your cruise vacation is likely to change as well. It's going to depend on supply and demand, and it may play a role into causing some steep discounts upon cruising reopening. But it really will depend on the destination and the market for that area. For example, the Alaska 2020 cruise season has been dwindled down to such a short window to cruise. So therefore, the demand has really picked up for 2021 sailings, and the prices have noticeably gone up from where the prices were for this season's Alaska sailings. So jump on it and reach out to your travel advisor for 2021 sailings because the demand is there and they are hot. Speaking of destinations, we may see some ports with limited availability for ships to dock in, and others may have restrictions altogether in place by the local government, deeming that they're not ready to open and welcome cruise ships into port at all. This may take some time depending on the port of call. Now, moving into post-cruise, after your vacation is over, let's think about the Customs and Border Protection that have already rolled out facial recognition to ease the process. I think we'll see even more of this in the cruise terminal. Not every cruise terminal is equipped with this yet, but given that the technology already exists, it would only make sense to expand this to as many cruise terminals as possible, helping eliminate people standing in long customs lines and interacting with a Border Patrol agent. We could also see post-cruise temperature checks or thermal scanning as well. This is a prediction, and we could see it happen as they want to make sure that when you into the country that you are safe as well and you wouldn't have to go into a quarantine. Well, despite all of these different tactics that are prior to your cruise, during, and even afterwards, some are confirmed and some are just predictions. We'll really have to wait and see how far they go into effect, but they are for our safety and benefit. So having additional safety protocols in place help us cruisers feel safe, secure, and confident that we are going to have a healthy and happy vacation upon cruising reopening. I'll leave you with a note that I wholeheartedly agree with from the CEO of Carnival Corporation, Arnold Donald. In a recent interview with Axios, he says, "I think cruises will ultimately be better than what they were before, and people love cruising. Even up until the day we paused, people wanted to cruise." So I, and many other cruise lovers included, long for the day that we can safely return to the high seas. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed hearing my predictions and some of the cruise line's confirmed changes to the industry for prior to our cruise, during, and after. It surely will be interesting to see how everything comes back and is the new normal of cruising. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you feel like is definitely going to happen or not going to happen from this list. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, ciao for now.